Hello students, welcome to the lecture on reading and language skills. And after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand the concept of reading and language skills. Explain previewing techniques, skimming and scanning. Describe the reading process and its purpose. Discuss about active and passive reading. Understand vocabulary skills and scanning skills. Let's start with a brief introduction to reading and language skills. Language is vital in the sense that it enables people to be able to interact or communicate effectively for the purpose of conveying a message. It is imperative to understand that language varies from one society to another, depending on a particular group of people. Therefore, there are 4 language skills that are commonly used in order for people to be able to interact or communicate, such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. These 4 skills enhance the process of communication and the language skills. For example, in our everyday life, there are many situations in which people use more than one language skills in order to communicate with others. This means that people talk while they are listening, and they write references they have read. Communicative or language competence is a complex construct comprised of many aspects or facets. It may involve speaking, writing, reading, and listening in various combinations, in different settings or on different occasions. To focus exclusively on some aspects to the exclusion of others might underrepresent the construct and thus provide an assessment that was less than sufficiently valid for its intended purpose. Let us now discuss the concept of reading and language skills. Reading is necessary in the sense that the skill is the same whether in native languages or English. There are several reading skills that are commonly used in language. It can be defined as the process of looking at or understanding the meaning of a book by interpreting the characters or symbols of which it is composed. It is important to understand that the skill of reading is highly interactive in nature. This interaction occurs through the process of reading, which is itself a complex interplay between local-level bottom-up strategies concerned with the identification of meaning from the level of word upwards and increasingly more global levels of top-down. Scanning is the other skill of reading that is vital in language in the sense that it enables individuals to be able to get only moderate information on particular written text. For example, one will be able to read the chapter headings, introductions, and summaries of a material in a more summarized manner. In other words, it allows one to speed read the content of a material or book. Importance of reading. Reading is the basic foundation on which skills of an individual are built. The importance of reading skills in today's society is enormous. With the advent of the internet, people do not just rely on newspapers and postal correspondence. Reading skills serve as a foundation for writing. Developed and mastered, effective reading skills give people the opportunity to learn new information about the world, people, events, and places, enrich their vocabularies, and improve their writing skills. Skimming. Skimming will focus on understanding the main idea. Skimming is used to quickly identify the main ideas of a text. When somebody reads the newspaper, she probably does not read it word by word, instead scans the text. Scanning. Scanning is a technique to trigger and extract key information and ideas, such as names, numbers, and specific facts. Scanning involves moving eyes quickly down the page, identifying specific words and phrases to either find a particular answer or grasping the basic main idea.
Hi, I'm Tommy DePaula, and I want to talk to you today about the importance of reading. When I was a little boy, the most important part of my day was when my mother would go to the bookshelf, and we had a group of red-covered books, and she'd take one off the bookshelf. I'd jump in the big chair next to her. She'd open the book and read me a story. It was my highlight of the day when my mother read aloud to me, and she did it every day of my life as far back as I can remember. So of course it was very important for me to realize that these marks on the page were words that when they were put together were wonderful stories. I wanted to learn how to make those words into stories myself, so I knew that I had to get to school to learn how to read. Several years ago, I got a phone call early in the evening, and it was someone from a magazine, and they were calling authors and artists who do books for children and asking the question of why do you think reading is important? And it was you were supposed to sound pretty intellectual about it. So I knew it was going to go into print. I thought, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, and this is a very intricate sentence, but this is how I answered. I said, reading is important because if you can read, you can learn anything about everything and everything about anything. So if you think about that, just realize that you can pick up an encyclopedia like I did when I was a kid. And I started with A and I went all the way through to Z and I read the encyclopedia every night and found out lots of things about lots of things. But then I could go to another book, and if I wanted to find out about stars, I could read chapters and chapters about stars. So I could find out anything about everything from the encyclopedia, and then everything about anything, in this case stars, by reading a book about stars. And that's why, to me, reading is so important, because we really have all the information right at our fingertips and at our eye tips. Now, you know what I'd like everybody to do, whether you're a parent, a teacher, a child? I'd like you to read to each other. You know, most of us know that mothers and fathers and teachers read to children. But hey, kids, why don't you read to your parents? Why don't you read to each other? Why don't you read to your teddy bear? So I think it's a really good idea if we all got used to reading to each other, because it's like a song. It's like singing to each other. You're telling each other a wonderful story by reading a wonderful book to each other. So why not do that, okay?
Did you know? We listen to people at a rate of 125 to 250 words per minute, but think at 1,000 to 3,000 words per minute. Now we will study the reading process. Reading is described in many ways by different people. Some describe it as thinking, cognitive process. Others say it is the reconstruction and interpretation of meanings behind printed symbols. Still, others say it is the process of understanding written language. Reading is a language-based skill. As such, it requires the processing of language that is decontextualized from any ongoing event. Decontextualized language is characterized by the fact that the speaker and listener do not directly share the experience being communicated. Reading can be considered as a communication process. The reading process involves physiological process, cognitive process, communication process, psychosocial process. Physiological process. Reading is the physiological process as the brain needs to react to what is on the page. It is the thinking and alertness of the brain that is used to process the words that are on a page or screen when one reads. Cognitive process. Reading is a visual and cognitive process to extract meaning from writing by understanding the written text, processing information, and relating it to existing experience. Communication process. Reading is referred as communication process because, for example, suppose that one is reading a book. One will read all the author's knowledge, opinion, messages, or anything he/she wrote in that book. Psychosocial process. People read messages from official communication, mass media, and the internet. Purpose. The two main purposes for reading at the middle primary level are 1. Reading for literary experience. 2. Reading to acquire and use information. Reading for literary experience. The reader becomes involved in imagined events, settings, actions, consequences, characters, atmosphere, feelings, and ideas. He or she brings an appreciation of language and knowledge of literary forms to the text. Reading to acquire and use information. The reader engages with types of texts where she or he can understand how the world is and has been, and why things work as they do. Different kinds of texts. There are 6 distinctively different types of texts that can be used for reading instruction: wordless books, predictable texts, controlled high-frequency vocabulary texts, decodable texts, authenticate literature, and created easy-to-read texts. Reference. In reading, process reference is a relation between objects in which one object designates or acts as a means by which to connect to or link to another object. Material. The collection of words, sentences, or paragraph which a reader is utilizing during the reading process is referred as material. Scientific and technical texts. There is the material available in book form. It is the printed work regarded in terms of content. Active and passive reading. Active reading is vigorous and frequently reading. It is alert reading. It is done for learning. Active reading is efficient reading. Let's know about the vocabulary skills. Efficient reading depends upon readers' stock of vocabulary. A reader should be equipped with word power. It increases the pace of reading. It saves time of reading. A rich vocabulary facilitates quick grasping of contents, ideas, concepts. A reader must therefore try to improve his/her vocabulary. Persons with large vocabulary make efficient readers as the words they come across are familiar. This helps them to become quick conveyors of thought. This further enables the reader to get in tune with author's mind. The readers do not get carried away by writer's ideas. They judge the ideas expressed by author and critically evaluate them. Vocabulary skill means learning to increase word power. A reader, whenever comes across a difficult word, should refer to the dictionary to know the meaning. It can be acquired through reading the books meant for increasing vocabulary. There are suggested strategies to improve vocabulary skills. Vocabulary is considered the most important single factor in academic and business success. In addition, the size of your vocabulary is usually an indication of the range of your knowledge and the level of thinking. A dictionary is the best way to get the meaning of new words. But a careful reader can sometimes figure out definitions without turning to one, but using context clues and word parts. The skills that we use to discover the meanings and pronunciations of unknown words are called word attack skills. Word attack skills are the ways we use to reveal a word's meaning and pronunciation. Developing vocabulary skills is an important part of the reading process. In fact, many people struggle with reading simply because they do not know the meanings of the words in the text. As a result, teachers in all subject areas and grade levels must take the time to teach key terms as well as strategies for applying the words in different contexts. Word wall. A word wall is a collection of words that the teacher keeps on the wall. Each week, new words are added, and as one masters the terms, they are removed from the wall. One can direct attention to the words on the wall during lessons. One can also keep their own personal word walls in notebooks and can refer to them throughout the school year. In this way, one can see their progress in developing the vocabulary and have a reference point when working on other vocabulary building activities. Graphic organizers. Graphic organizers are a great way to help one to understand the nuisance of words. One of the most popular organizers for vocabulary is the Freyer model. This is a great tool for helping to develop deeper understandings of key terms, as they must identify characteristics, examples, and non-examples of the word. Other graphic organizers require one to sort words according to their shades of meaning and emotional connections. Several organizers are designed to illustrate the words as a way to make the meanings concrete. Vocabulary stories. Vocabulary stories provide to practice with their vocabulary words while developing their writing skills. This is a good activity for the end of the week or as practice during a learning center. One writes a story